5 economic superpowers ruling the world in 2050. In 30 years, most of the world's largest economies will be those that are emerging today, surpassing current behemoths such as the US, Japan, and Germany. By 2050, the global market is projected to double its current size. Even as the UN forecasts the world's population will only grow by a modest 26%. This growth will bring with it plenty of changes. Though it can be challenging to predict exactly how the future will unfold, most economists agree on one thing: today's developing markets will be tomorrow's economic superpowers. According to the World in 2050 report by international professional services firm PwC, in 30 years, 6 of the 7 of the world's largest economies will be today's emerging economies, surpassing the US, dropping from 2nd to 3rd, Japan, dropping from 4th to 8th, and Germany, dropping from 5th to 9th. Even relatively smaller economies like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Nigeria will see huge leaps in their respective rankings over the next 3 decades. According to the report, China has measured by GDP by purchasing power parity, which adjusts for price-level differences across countries. China already has the largest economy in the world. The Asian behemoth has seen massive economic gains over the past decade, but economists promise that it is just the tip of the iceberg for what the future holds. The big economic changes are happening right in front of residents' eyes. My home for the last few years, the industrial park of Suzhou, is a glittering urban paradise of shopping malls, parks, restaurants, and traffic. But when I first came to China 15 years ago, the whole area was swamp and farmland, said Rowan Cole, author of the 1-Minute Chinese books. This is a very common story in China. The whole country is changing. The changes are attracting a brand new set of entrepreneurs and others looking for financial opportunity amid the seemingly unstoppable growth. China's largest city, Shanghai, is where many newcomers make their start. India, the world's second most populous country, is expected to see massive growth over the next 3 decades, averaging 5% growth in GDP per year, according to the report, making it one of the fastest growing economies in the world. By 2050, India is projected to be the world's second largest economy, overtaking the United States, and will account for 15% of the world's total GDP. The positive outcomes of that growth have already started to make an impact for residents. For instance, there has been a major upgrade in the quality of televisions, mobile phones, and car brands over the past 15 years, while air travel has become increasingly accessible, and houses have become more posh and rich. The growth also hasn't always reached every citizen equality. There are some sections of the society that are still living a very low quality of life. Brazil. This South American powerhouse is set to be the world's 5th largest economy by 2050, overtaking Japan, Germany, and Russia in the process. With an abundance of natural resources, Brazil has grown its economy rapidly in the past few decades, but faces challenges as it struggles to control government corruption and inflation that has plagued the country in recent years. Some of the challenges have enabled Brazil to be an early adopter of technology. In many developing countries, high growth translates to high inflation. As a result of the high cost of protecting cash against inflation, Brazil became a fintech pioneer, said intercultural strategist Annalisa Nash Fernandes, who previously lived in Sao Paulo. PayPal and Venmo equivalents have been the daily routine in Brazil for 20+ years, even before smartphones, via an ATM. A 2016 recession hit the country hard, but the economy is showing some signs of regrowth, and with a new presidential administration inaugurated last year, 2020 is posed to be a make-or-break year for Brazil. Regardless of the state of the economy, newcomers are typically welcomed here, especially if they learn the language. Brazil is a very friendly country that loves to welcome foreigners. Brazilians are less individualists and more social people. Mexico. By 2050, Mexico is poised to become the world's 7th largest economy, jumping up 4 spots from its current 11th place in the rankings. A focus on manufacturing and exports have driven much of its growth in recent years, though current economic conditions have hampered potential gains. For the past 10 years, Mexico's economy has grown, Healthcare and transportation are notably more affordable here than they are in the US, Canada, and Europe. As with many developing economies, infrastructure and road conditions can be challenging. But the government just unveiled a $44 billion infrastructure investment, according to Reuters, to be spent over the next 4 years. Each region of Mexico is very distinct in terms of climate and culture, so residents advise new expats to do their research and visit different cities before relocating. That said, the local hospitality makes fitting a lot easier, especially when it comes to learning Spanish, a definite must. Nigeria. One of Africa's largest economies, Nigeria is poised to grow by leaps and bounds by 2050, at an average of 4.2% year-on-year, rising 8 places from 22nd to 14th in the rankings. While the government has struggled with corruption, residents have an entrepreneurial attitude that keeps pushing the country forward. According to Global Entrepreneurship Monitor data, more than 30% of Nigerian residents are new entrepreneurs or the owner-manager of a new business, among the highest rate in the world. Even the country's challenges, like minimal public transportation, have segged into business opportunities. They now have an app very similar to Uber for Okadas, motorbike transport, which is the most used form of transport in Nigeria, but in the past has not been very reliable. Residents mostly feel positive about the county's future, but are wary of government corruption and foreign investment. We need to be careful what country we take money from, who we allow to help us improve our infrastructure, and what strings are attached to it, said Nigerian native Chizoba Anioha, founder of Travzolo, noting their history of other nations taking advantage of their natural resources and raw materials. Thank you for watching, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next video.